Chapter 10:18. The demon ancestral tree of us, the demons, has finally descended. This time, who can stop us? The demons, stop us. Kill anyone who dares to stop us. The descent of the demon ancestral tree had caused the demon kings to enter a state of extreme excitement, almost to the point of insanity. There were several times when the overall situation was in their grasp, but the tables were turned several times. After experiencing countless twists and turns, in the end, victory still belonged to the demons, belonged to them. This was supreme glory. Blackstone, you died so early, but I, Nine Nether, survived. This is your misfortune, but my fortune. Nine Nether Demon laughed so hard that he was about to cry. Previously, he was chased by the Dragon King and Xianhou. Now, he was hiding far away from Yi Chen. As a proud demons, Nine Nether felt that he was about to suffocate. He wished he could immediately restore his cultivation realm and kill everyone. This day has finally come. The giant devil emperor looked up at the sky. Aside from excitement and joy, there was also a strong sense of savagery. Not good. Everyone in Elysium looked at the giant ancient tree that had suddenly appeared. This ancient tree was abnormally huge. It was thousands of miles tall and had already pierced through the 3 layers of heaven. The crown of the tree was open, and the 3 layers of heaven couldn't close. No, the 3 layers of heaven seemed to be afraid of the giant ancient tree and retreated far away, exposing the starry sky to everyone's sight. For the first time, the starry sky was so close to the ground, so clear. The ancient tree was different from ordinary trees. The trunk and branches were covered with black scales. These black scales opened and closed as if they were breathing. And in the center of the trunk, there was a giant demon face. Its eyes were blood red, filled with anger and violence. On the branches, the leaves were bigger than humans. These leaves were pitch black and had complicated veins on the surface. These veins would make ordinary people dizzy just by looking at them. They contained the great Tao, contained the rules, and endless demon power flowed through the veins. The entire ancient tree was emitting a black light. Wherever the demonic light shone, the rules of Elysium all retreated. There was only one kind of rule there, and that was the rule of demons. Rolling demon energy spread in all directions. Not to mention around the ancient tree, even the starry sky was contaminated with a large amount of demon energy. This was the demon ancestral tree, the supreme holy relic of demons. The rule of demons has a limited range. Continue to kill. A roar awakened everyone in true spirit world. Everyone could see that Yi Chen's killing speed had become even faster. Before the crimson sword light could disperse, Yi Chen had already dashed toward another person. With a sudden glance, the void was sliced into arcs by the crimson sword light, and the arcs were filled with demon kings of the demon race. Yi Chen is right. The rule of demons can't affect this place. Kill. Kill as many as you can. Stop them from approaching. Everyone reacted, and their eyes turned red. At this moment, it was truly a moment of life and death. Letting a single demon king escape would be a huge disaster for them. They couldn't let a single one escape. Even if they had to risk their lives, they had to stop them. In desperate straits, one's potential would burst forth. Some ordinary life and death kings had already exhausted their potential, but in this crisis, their potential would surge forth once again. Each and every move of theirs would be carried out to their heart's content. Their might was several times greater than before, and even doubled. However, they all ignored the changes in their bodies, and only knew to kill. Either the enemy died, or they died. There was no other choice. I can't accept this. The demon ancestral tree is right in front of me. Why am I dying at this moment? Demon kings fell one after another. Before their deaths, they roared in unwillingness. The demon ancestral tree was, after all, only a single tree. It couldn't be more powerful than the entire Elysium. It could only affect an area of several 100,000 li. Only in that area could the rule of demons exist. Outside of that area, there was still the rule of Elysium. At this moment, the place where everyone was fighting was millions of li away from the demon ancestral tree. It seemed as if something was preventing the demon ancestral tree from descending. The reason why they could instantly see the demon ancestral tree was because the demon ancestral tree was too big, and the ripples it emitted were also too frightening. 9 Nether, you can die now. Seeing 9 Nether Demon King, Yi Chen instantly changed his flight path and flew toward him. Yi Chen, you can't kill me. I can't die. 9 Nether was shocked and frantically tried to escape. It had to be said that he did have some ability. Although his strength was only at the 5-star level, he was extremely slippery. Many of the kings of Elysium who wanted to stop him were thrown off by him. Unfortunately, his opponent was Yi Chen. In just 2 blinks of an eye, Yi Chen had intercepted him. Yi Chen, we can talk. If you can spare my life. Before 9 Nether could finish his words, a deep red sword mark appeared on his body. It was neat and tidy from head to toe. The next moment, 9 Nether's body exploded and turned into ashes. What is there to talk about with you? Yi Chen's voice was illusory, and he had already disappeared from his original spot. The descent of the demon ancestral tree didn't slow down the rate of the demon king's deaths. Instead, it accelerated. A moment ago, there were still more than 200 demon kings, but a moment later, there were less than 150 demon kings. However, a third of them were killed by Yi Chen, and a fifth by Su Jing. The other powerful 6-star kings of Elysium had also killed many demon kings. As for those below 6-star, the total number of demon kings they killed was very small. This couldn't be blamed on them. Even if they had the advantage in numbers, it was still very difficult for them to kill their opponents at the same level. It was the same logic as before when the demon kings wanted to kill them. Originally, Yi Chen had planned to join forces with the white-haired elder to kill the Troll Emperor. Unfortunately, the Troll Emperor seemed to know their plan. As soon as the two of them killed the Lord of Fear, the Troll Emperor escaped far away. For a while, Yi Chen couldn't catch up to him. After all, they were separated by more than 1,000,000 miles. Once the Troll Emperor's body grew to a size of several 100 miles, his speed would increase dramatically. Therefore, Yi Chen gave up on the idea of killing the Troll Emperor now. It would be fine as long as he didn't let the Troll Emperor get close to the demon ancestral tree. Lord Troll Emperor, we've come to help you. Right at this moment, 8 demon kings suddenly rushed out of the demon ancestral tree. The aura of these 8 demon kings was extremely frightening, even more frightening than the Troll Emperor. Among them, 5 were at the peak of the 5th layer of life and death realm, while the other 3 were at the 6th layer of life and death realm. They had completely recovered, and the Elysium couldn't suppress them anymore. They were wearing battle armors made of black leaves, which seemed to counteract the suppression of the Elysium's rules. The demon ancestral tree was unsealed by them. Even before the Troll Emperor escaped, they had already found the demon space and started to arrange arrays, accumulating power. This accumulation took several years, and they only unsealed it today. Otherwise, nobody would have been able to undo the seal of the demon space, not even the Troll Emperor. The 8 demon kings aggressively flew over, and the hearts of the Elysium's people turned cold. Not to mention the 3 6th-layer demon kings, just the 5 peak 5th-layer demon kings were equivalent to 5 7-star level demon kings. Moreover, they were at least high-grade 7-star level. 6th-layer demon kings were equivalent to 8-star battle strength. 8-star battle strength. What could they use to fight? Huff huff huff. However, an opportunity had arrived. 8 vines suddenly shot out of the seabed. These 8 vines were like huge dragons, coiling around the 8 demon kings. No matter how powerful they were, they couldn't break free from the vines' bindings. Even splitting their bodies didn't work. The vines seemed to contain the great Tao's rules, locking onto their souls. In the blink of an eye, the 8 demon kings were dragged to the seabed. Immediately afterward, the seawater surged, and waves as high as 10,000 zhang soared into the sky. A colossus emerged from the seawater. It was also an ancient tree, a crimson-yellow tree. Its height was not inferior to that of the fiend demon ancestral tree. In fact, it was even taller. At the center of the ancient tree was a face. It was an extremely aged face, and one could see that there were countless pores on its trunk that were constantly breathing. This is the undying tree. Everyone's eyes widened. As far as they knew, only the undying tree could contend against the demon ancestral tree in Elysium. If the demon ancestral tree was the supreme relic of the demons, then the undying tree would be the supreme relic of Elysium. This was their first time seeing the undying tree. Ever since the ancient war, the undying tree had never shown itself. As the undying tree appeared, a thick vine was exposed, binding the demon ancestral tree from afar. It turned out that the reason the demon ancestral tree couldn't approach was because it was bound by the vine of the undying tree. The fact that the undying tree had actually appeared from the seabed was truly inconceivable. Only a few people knew that the roots of the undying tree covered more than half of Elysium. Its main body could travel underground and appear anywhere. Impossible. How could the undying tree revive? The Troll Emperor clearly knew about the undying tree as well. He also knew that the undying tree had been chopped off during the ancient war. During the First War, Elysium was incomparably powerful, allowing them to come and go as they pleased. At that time, Ancient Emperor was a 9th-layer life and death realm expert with monstrous battle strength. Therefore, among the experts dispatched by the demons and evil spirit race, there were also peerless 9th-layer life and death realm experts. However, at that time, the world barrier of Elysium had been pierced through by the heavenly sword, and the rules had been leaked. Therefore, their realm would not be suppressed. The undying tree was chopped off by the 9th-layer life and death realm experts of the demons, and Ancient Emperor had also destroyed the demon ancestral tree of the demons. As supreme relic, the demon ancestral tree and the undying tree were existences comparable to 9th-layer life and death realm experts. Only experts of the same realm could heavily injure or even destroy them. Rumble. Countless vines fluttered in the sky, each of them several thousand li long. As they waved, the demon ancestral tree was forcibly sent flying even further away. The demon ancestral tree was clearly not to be trifled with. It crazily collided with the undying tree. Demonic chi overflowed, and demonic clouds surged. That powerful demonic light burned the branches of the undying tree. Chapter 10:19. Truly frightening. The appearance of the undying tree made Yi Chen heave a sigh of relief. But, the battle between the demonic ancestral tree and the undying tree made him smack his lips. Although the demonic ancestral tree had once been destroyed and this one had grown later, after hundreds of thousands of years, even if the demonic ancestral tree hadn't reached its peak, it wouldn't be far from reaching the 8th layer of life and death realm. On the other hand, the undying tree was the same as the demonic ancestral tree, having been chopped off by a peerless demons expert in the ancient era. After sleeping for countless years, it should have recovered quite a bit of yuan qi. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to tie down the demonic ancestral tree. The battle between the two was at least at the 8th layer of life and death realm. The scene was indescribable. At least, Yi Chen knew that even the slightest shockwave would be enough to kill him. Apart from this, the bodies of the two were too huge. They were thousands of li tall and hundreds of li thick. Su Jing's dragon body might not be any shorter than the two, but it was much more slender. Moreover, Su Jing's battle strength would drop after becoming bigger. But, the two ancient trees clearly didn't have such a thing, because they were their true bodies. How could their battle strength be weakened when using their true bodies? Crack! Crack! The battle between the two ancient trees affected an unimaginable range. In the sky, tens of thousands of li-long spatial cracks would appear from time to time. The boundless ocean also became turbulent because of their battle, reaching the 9 heavens. The ocean beasts within this range were out of luck. Under the battle between the two terrifying existences, they were all instantly killed. Unfortunately, they didn't have much intelligence. If they did, they would have escaped to other oceans to avoid calamity during the battle between the alien races and Elysium. Countless years later, this vast ocean was still deathly still. No living creature could survive here, because the demons and Elysium's laws were intertwined together, capable of destroying all living things. But it was also because of this that countless treasures and ores had appeared here, turning this place into one of the most frightening forbidden zones. Of course, this was a story for the future. Due to the appearance of the undying tree, the demons gave up on the idea of approaching the demon ancestral tree. Going there now was no doubt that they would be seeking death. As long as they did not get close, they would be turned into ashes by the aftermath of the battle between the two. If they couldn't get close to the demon ancestral tree, they wouldn't be able to accept the demon's rules. This made the demon kings feel disheartened. Were they still going to lose this war? Every time the situation seemed to be in their grasp, the tables would be turned. When the abyssal ancestral tree had descended, they had been happy for a while, but they had never imagined that the tables would be turned again. Unless the demonic ancestral tree could defeat the undying tree, no one would be able to stop the demonic ancestral tree. Anyone in front of it would be trash, unable to withstand a single blow. However, the battle between the demon ancestral tree and the undying tree would not end in a short time. Would they still be there when it ended? That Yi Chen's hands were stained with the blood of their demon kings. Several hundred demon kings had died at his hands. Before the abyssal ancestral tree and the undying tree decided a victor, he could completely annihilate them. How could this be? The Troll Emperor's eyes were dazed, filled with bewilderment. After planning for such a long time, it still couldn't beat all sorts of accidents. Yi Chen's continuous growth, the stronger he encountered, and the sudden appearance of the undying tree. These were all things he hadn't expected. Chi! Just as the Troll Emperor was in a daze, a sharp sword flew over. The Troll Emperor was startled and hurriedly turned his body. However, the speed of the sword was too fast, and his right arm was instantly severed from the shoulder. This wasn't the end. The sharp sword soared into the sky, and when it came down, it turned into 64 sword images. These sword images formed an 8 trigrams diagram, covering the Troll Emperor. You want to trap me? Don't even think about it. The Troll Emperor's anger and unwillingness erupted. He punched the 8 trigrams sword formation. The vast and ferocious fist energy caused the 8 trigrams sword formation to show signs of collapsing before it even landed. Between the sword images, sparks flew, and clanging sounds rang out. The spatial barrier was instantly burned into countless tiny black holes. Dimensional shift. Far away, the white-haired old man formed a seal with both hands. His powerful will followed the completion of the seal, fluctuating violently. In an instant, the white-haired old man's right hand reached out, as if he had grabbed something. Slowly but firmly, he retracted his hand. Gotcha! A terrifying scene occurred. The Troll Emperor and the space he was in were directly cut off, and then shifted in the direction of the white-haired old man and Yi Chen. Every time it flickered, it would travel more than 200,000 li. Unfortunately, it was only a single flicker. After another flicker, the Troll Emperor collapsed the space that was cut off, and flew in the opposite direction. Troll Emperor, since you're here, why leave? While using the 9 return to 1 sword art and the 8 trigrams extermination sword art to entangle the Troll Emperor, Yi Chen had already approached. Soon after, the white-haired old man used some unknown secret art and dragged the Troll Emperor over. The distance between the two decreased by another 200,000 li. At this moment, Yi Chen had already arrived in the sky above the Troll Emperor. Ah! The Troll Emperor crazily roared. This kind of roar was filled with the unwillingness of a hero who had no way out. If he, the Troll Emperor, could recover to his peak, he would never be afraid of anyone. Although he was not one of the best among the Seventh Life and Death Realm warriors, he still had a great reputation. But now, he was being chased by a mere 7-star genius. Humiliation, unwillingness, and hatred filled his heart, igniting a demonic flame on his body. Fiend Progenitor Tree, you have arrived. As the supreme sacred object of our Fiend tribe, spread your power across the heavens and earth. Our Fiend tribe should not be defeated again. The Troll Emperor's voice came from his soul and spread out fiercely. Several million li away, the demon ancestral tree seemed to have heard the Troll Emperor's voice. Its black leaves rustled, and in the next moment, countless leaves automatically fell off, shooting toward the Troll Emperor's direction. Ear-piercing sounds were like millions of locusts, covering the sky and covering the earth. Crackle. The undying tree no longer attacked the demon ancestral tree. Countless vines crisscrossed in the air, forming an inescapable net in the void. As soon as the black leaves were hit by the vines, they immediately turned into ashes. However, there were too many of them. No matter how dense the net was, there were still some that slipped through. Those that slipped through the net were less than 1% of the total number of leaves. But, at a glance, there were at least millions of them. They broke free from the undying tree's blockade and flew out in a dense mass. The momentum of the black leaves was too great, and everyone noticed them. This is the leaf of the demon ancestral tree. It contains the demon's rule. Although it's not even 1/10,000th of the demon ancestral trees, the demon ancestral tree is not far from here. With the demon ancestral tree's leaf protecting us, even if we can't increase our realm by 1 level, we can at least increase by half a level. Moreover, our demon's martial arts can be used freely, and we won't be suppressed. The demon kings were already in despair. There were less than 100 of them, and each demon king had to face 2 or 3 kings of Elysium. The situation had been reversed. Seeing the demon ancestral tree's leaf flying through the air, hope was ignited in their hearts. It's a never-ending battle. The demonic race had been tormented, and had been turned around time and time again. How could the people of true spirit world not be the same? No matter how stupid they were, they knew that the demonic ancestral tree's leaves could greatly increase the strength of the demonic race. Some Elysium kings tried to attack the black leaves, but these leaves had incomparable spirituality. They flickered a few times and dodged. Then, 12 leaves wrapped around a demon king, forming a black battle armor on their bodies. This is great. I've advanced from the 3rd layer to the peak of the 3rd layer. My consumed essence, chi, and soul have also been replenished. I don't have any injuries or weakness. Some demon kings were pleasantly surprised. If the harvest of these demon kings was already great, then the harvest of the Troll Emperor was even greater. The black battle armor on his body was composed of 36 leaves. Compared to the battle armors of other demon kings, the one on the Troll Emperor's body was even more majestic and tyrannical. Surging demonic power spread out with him as the center, looking extremely frightening. Good. Worthy of the demon ancestral tree's leaf. The Troll Emperor laughed heartily. He was originally at the 5th layer of life and death realm. After wearing the black battle armor, his realm rose to the peak of the 5th layer, causing his demonic power to double. The demonic power he had lost before was completely replenished. Moreover, the essence, chi, and soul he had lost due to being sealed for countless years had also been completely restored. He was no longer in a weak state. Yi Chen, didn't you want to fight? Then let's fight. The Troll Emperor turned around, no longer running. The leaves of the demon ancestral tree not only helped the demon kings, but also helped the demon army on the gazing ocean. The Sea of Soul realm demons wore black battle armors composed of 3 leaves. The astral-reaching demons wore black battle armors composed of one leaf. Due to their low cultivation base, the suppression they received was also low. With the black battle armors on their bodies, their realm was no longer suppressed, and they were at their peak. Roar! The demon ancestral tree's leaves were limited, and the number of people who could obtain the black battle armors was also limited. Only 1/3 of the people had them. However, this was already enough. Like a black flood, the demon army was unstoppable. Wherever they went, blood and demonic chi filled the air. Are we going to die just like this? As the comrades beside her died one after another, Ji Xuan bit her lips, causing blood to flow out. Kill! More than 10 half-step demon kings charged at Ji Xuan. Their frightening auras were several times stronger than before, as if they were aided by a god. Among them, the most powerful one was a half-step demon king at the 3rd layer of life and death chamber. As the auras approached, Ji Xuan's protective Jin Yuan shattered like tofu. Ji Xuan closed her eyes. At this moment, even if her strength had increased by several times, it would be useless. This was a situation of certain death. Bang! Just as her body was about to shatter into pieces, a black sword light suddenly spread out with Ji Xuan at the center. All the demons that came in contact with this sword light instantly turned into a bloody paste. Behind Ji Xuan, a phantom appeared. This phantom was exactly the same as Yi Chen. Chapter 10:20. It turned out that what Yi Chen had shot into Ji Xuan's Sea of Soul was a drop of Jin Yuan containing a powerful sword intent. This drop of Jin Yuan would only be activated at the moment of life and death. This drop of Jin Yuan had been compressed, but Yi Chen didn't dare to compress it too much. After all, Jin Yuan couldn't exist in one Sea of Soul. Even with the guidance of the sword intent, it was still extremely dangerous. However, Yi Chen's Jin Yuan was not something ordinary kings could compare to. This was the 2nd layer Jin Yuan of life and death realm. Combined with the peak 6th step destruction sword intent, not to mention those under life and death realm, even famous kings wouldn't be able to kill Ji Xuan. Apart from this drop of Jin Yuan containing sword intent was different from the Jin Yuan left in the soul sea of other kings. Their Jin Yuan could only passively defend, and couldn't actively attack. It was just like how Dragon King had left a strand of Jin Yuan in Yi Chen's soul sea, which couldn't actively attack. However, sword intent was sword intent after all, and it had a powerful offensive nature. The destruction sword intent was even more so. Not only could it passively defend Ji Xuan, it could also counterattack, because for sword artists, offense was the best defense. The black sword light suddenly appeared, killing all the incoming half-step demon kings. Ji Xuan stared blankly, then seemed to realize something. You've already saved me twice. In Heavenly Dream Ancient Region, Yi Chen had already saved her once. Since we meet again, it must be fate. Live well. This sword intent Jin Yuan won't be continuously consumed. It will only be activated at the moment of life and death. Yi Chen's phantom behind Ji Xuan spoke. Different from other people's Jin Yuan, Yi Chen's sword intent Jin Yuan was full of spirituality. It wouldn't be continuously consumed once it was activated. This way, it could save a person many times. As for being able to speak, it was because Yi Chen had imprinted this sentence into the sword intent Jin Yuan in advance. It wasn't only Ji Xuan. King phantoms appeared behind many people, such as Xuanhos, demon flower emperors, Su kings, Duga Jews, Dantai Mingyues, but most of them were Yi Chen's. Leaving a strand of Jin Yuan in someone's sea of soul consumed a lot of energy. However, Yi Chen's soul power was 10 times that of ordinary kings, so he was somewhat unrestrained. Puff 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 puff, Yan Jianhui, Dongfang Bai, and Leng Xinghan formed the Little Big Dipper 7-star sword array, which was invincible. Even if they encountered a half-step demon king, they could still fight. However, there were just too many of them, and many of them had their strength increased by several times. The little Big Dipper 7-star sword array couldn't handle it and collapsed instantly. The 7 of them were drowned in the chi flow. However, in the next second, the chi flow bounced back, and 7 black arcs of sword light spread out in a fan shape. The many demons who were about to rush over were instantly chopped into meat paste. Since when did Master leave Jin Yuan in our Sea of Soul? Dong Fong Bai was shocked. So Big Brother has been protecting us all the time. Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao were very touched. The reason why Yi Chen didn't let them know about the Jin Yuan was because he was afraid that they would become careless and have a change of heart. Therefore, he only secretly shot the Jin Yuan into their Sea of Soul. This way, in order to survive, they would have to use all their strength and stimulate their potential. However, they wouldn't be killed by the enemy. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It wasn't just them. Many people in the Fallen Dust Sword sect had Yi Chen's Jin Yuan in their Sea of Soul. However, they didn't know about it, and even Yi Chen's parents didn't know about it. I knew that Master couldn't bear for us to die. Huang Sume giggled. With her intelligence, she had actually guessed some of it, but she didn't dare to be sure. Because of this, she had searched in the Sea of Soul for a long time, trying to find some clues. Unfortunately, with her cultivation, how could she find Yi Chen's Jin Yuan? Therefore, she wasn't too sure. Now, the truth had finally been revealed. Master has put in a lot of effort. Obviously, he hopes that we can stimulate our potential in the fierce battle and surpass ourselves. We shouldn't let him down. Yen Jianhui took a deep breath and said. That's right. Leng Xinghan nodded. There was a huge difference between the Little Big Dipper 7-star sword formation and the Big Dipper 7-star sword formation. One required 7 people to set up, while the other required 49. The difference in power was more than 10 times. Therefore, the Big Dipper 7-star sword formation that Yi Tianhao and Shin Yuqing were in had never been broken. No matter how many enemies there were, no matter how powerful they became, the Big Dipper 7-star sword formation would be able to break them all. Of course, the reason why the Big Dipper 7-star sword formation was so powerful was because the swords in their hands were different. They were 7-star swords that Yi Chen had specially made for them, and every one of them was high rank. Semi-extreme rank swords would consume too much Jin Yuan, and Yi Chen didn't have that many semi-extreme rank materials. Without going through a bloody battle, one would not be able to grow faster. After this huge battle, those who survive will all be the elites of our Fallen Dust Sword sect. Yi Tianhao said slowly. I hope this bloody battle will end soon. Shin Yuqing was a woman after all, and she couldn't help but feel sorry for them. Zhang Haoran, Luo Hanshan, Zhu Mei, and Yi Hai, who had just returned home before the battle. Many of them had Yi Chen's silhouette appearing behind their backs. Beams of black sword light were shooting out, seeming to be unstoppable. This was a bit like bullying, since Yi Chen's sword intent Jin Yuan contained too much power. Yi Chen, you are indeed mysterious. Luo Hanshan smiled. He didn't expect this kind of change at all. He and Zhu Mei were already prepared to die. In another area, thank you. Lynch thanked Zhang Haoran. Zhang Haoran forced a smile and said, I should thank the leader. It was not him who had saved Lynch, but the sword intent Jin Yuan in his soul ocean that belonged to Yi Chen. The battle in the sea gazing was extremely fierce, and the battle of the kings on the ocean had once again become intense. Nearly 100 demon kings were all wearing black battle armors, which increased their strength by several folds. The originally one-sided situation was now showing signs of turning around. Only a few people like Su Jing could still control the situation. As for Yi Chen's side, although the strength of the two sides was not as strong as the demon ancestral tree and the undying tree, the intensity of the battle was not inferior at all. Raising his cultivation to the peak of the fifth sky of life and death realm didn't bring much battle power to the Troll Emperor, but his spirit, qi, and soul had completely recovered, allowing him to display the power of the demon's martial arts. This increased the strength of the Troll Emperor by 8 folds, reaching the peak of 7-star level. At this moment, even if Yuan Emperor were to revive, he wouldn't be able to kill him easily. Boom! Boom! Yi Chen, I'll let you have a taste of the true demon's martial arts. Giant Devil Emperor punched Yi Chen again and again. On his fists, there was a tyrannical darkness, a blazing flash, and a scorching demonic flame at times. They were ever-changing, and their strength was ever-changing. The demon's martial arts are nothing more than this. Yi Chen's battle power was a minor level lower than the Troll Emperor's, only at the peak of 7-star. However, Yi Chen's sword art realm and control over power were not something the opponent could compare with. Even if the opponent attacked with 100% of his power, at least 50% would be neutralized by Yi Chen. On the other hand, when Yi Chen attacked with 100% of his power, the opponent could only attack with brute force. Illusion Demon Martial Art. The Troll Emperor once again displayed the previous demon's martial arts. With a punch, another Troll Emperor appeared directly in front of Yi Chen. This illusion demon martial art was a secret technique of the demons. Only the demons could display it to the limit. The Troll Emperor had only grasped a part of its essence and was far from comprehending it completely. However, it was enough. Old trick. Yi Chen turned his long sword, and the Troll Emperor's fist deviated. However, at this moment, there was an unexpected situation. In the Troll Emperor's body, there was an illusion. The illusion was no different from the Troll Emperor. It threw a punch at Yi Chen. At this moment, Yi Chen had used up all his strength and had yet to generate new strength. The illusion grasped the timing perfectly, not a bit more, not a bit less. Fool, do you really think this move is so simple? In the distance, the Troll Emperor sneered. I told you, old trick. Yi Chen's expression did not change. The demon slaughtering sword did not immediately return, but instead moved to the side at an even faster speed. Then, the hilt of the demon slaughtering sword welcomed the incoming fist. It was obviously a sword hilt, but in Yi Chen's hands, it was no different from a real sword. It was still extremely sharp, and the sword aura was threatening. Moreover, it carried a deep tearing sensation. Pang! The fist and the sword hilt clashed. Yi Chen took 3 steps back, but he did not lose his stance. On the other hand, that illusion seemed to only have enough power for one attack before collapsing instantly. He blocked it. The Troll Emperor's pupils shrank. To be honest, he could no longer understand Yi Chen's realm. His battle power was obviously higher than his opponent's, so why was he unable to gain the upper hand? At his peak, as a life and death realm warrior, he could not understand the realm of someone weaker than him. It was simply a slap in his face. Roar! The Troll Emperor's body suddenly expanded, turning into a 100-li-tall giant demon. In terms of power control, he was being toyed in the palm of Yi Chen's hand. Therefore, he decided to suppress his opponent with absolute power. With his demonic power, he could transform into a 100-li-tall demon while still maintaining his peak battle power. Moreover, each of his moves covered an even larger area, making it impossible for Yi Chen to easily disperse his attacks. At the same time that the Troll Emperor enlarged, Yi Chen also enlarged. He naturally knew the benefits of enlarging. This way, the energy eruption would be even more violent. Although it would consume Jin Yuan, it could completely suppress the opponent. If he continued to deal with Yi Chen with his normal height, he would only be asking for trouble. After all, how could he use a toothpick to push aside a mountain-sized fist? After enlarging, Yi Chen was 10 li tall, which was his limit. If he enlarged any further, his strength would drop. Just like that, a 100-li-tall giant demon and a 5-li-tall human once again clashed. The white-haired old man frowned as he glanced at the scene and quickly retreated. This level of battle was not something he could interfere in. Intent kings were good at everything, but they could not enlarge. Chapter 10:21. Boom! A fist the size of a small mountain smashed towards Yi Chen. The majestic fist energy tore through the heavens and earth. Coupled with the Troll Emperor's 50-kilometer tall body, it gave people the illusion that the sky was about to collapse. The demon-slaying sword in Yi Chen's hand also became several kilometers long, a true giant sword. Tightly gripping the demon-slaying sword in his hand, Yi Chen's wrist shook frequently, and rays of crimson sword light sprayed out. Thick spatial cracks spread wantonly, surrounding the two of them. The two of them fought from the sky to the depths of the sea, and from the depths of the sea to the starry sky. Finally, they landed on a star with a diameter of more than 50,000 kilometers. This star was a dead star without any life. There was only dust and scorching radiation. From afar, other than the Troll Emperor, who could see a black dot, Yi Chen's figure was almost invisible. However, as the two of them fought, strong lights constantly flashed on the surface of the star. Every time it flashed, the star would tremble violently. The dust floating in the air was directly blown out of the atmosphere by the qi, causing the entire star to become clear. However, the price of clarity meant destruction. The surface of the star was covered in cracks, and flames burned the sky. In the next moment, the entire star broke into pieces, and then violently exploded. As for the two of them, they had already moved to another place to continue fighting. The shockwave from the star's explosion did not affect them in the slightest. Yi Chen, it took me 100 years to create the three flowers borrowing the way, but it took me another 50 years to perfect it to its current state. Although you have studied it for a few years, and you have my guidance, under normal circumstances, it will take at least 3 to 5 years to cultivate the three flowers borrowing the way to the realm of great accomplishment. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You can take advantage of the continuous battle with the other party to accumulate essence, qi, and spirit, and break through to the realm of great accomplishment in one go. Yuan Emperor's voice sounded in Yi Chen's mind. All right. Yi Chen nodded. Before this, he had already trained the three flowers of the way to the initial realm. However, the initial realm could only increase his combat power by 50%, which was not enough to kill the Troll Emperor. Moreover, once the effects of the three flowers of the way ended, he would be weakened. Thus, he had not used it all this time, preferring to stimulate his potential over and over again. After all, once he was weakened, he would truly be finished. His opponent could easily kill him, and there would be no way for him to turn the tables. He could either not use the three flowers borrowing the way, or if he did, he would have to achieve great mastery in order to multiply his battle prowess. That way, he would have a chance to kill the Troll Emperor instead of being killed by him. However, it was simply too difficult to master the three flowers borrowing the way. Even with the guidance of its creator, the Yuan Emperor, it was impossible. After all, the latter had spent 150 years to create this secret technique. If he were to learn it, it would take him at least 5 to 10 years. Boom! Boom! The aftermath of the battle was earth-shattering. Although Yi Chen's strength did not increase by much, if one were to observe carefully, one would notice that his essence, qi, and soul were increasing in a unique way. Since this kind of increase was extremely slow and not instantaneous, the Troll Emperor did not notice anything strange. Yi Chen, this time, you are dead for sure. I can fight with you for a month, but I wonder if you can last a month with your cultivation base. The black armor on the Troll Emperor's body had an extremely unique effect. It could actually absorb the Yuan Qi in the sky and convert it into demonic Qi. Although the process of converting demonic Qi into demonic power was extremely slow, it would still have a great effect after a long time. A battle between you and me does not need a month. One day is more than enough. Yi Chen said indifferently. Humph, then just wait and see. The Troll Emperor sneered. The war on True Spirit Continent was in full swing, while the war on Sky Sword Continent could be said to be a bloodbath. The army of the evil spirit race was 1,000,000, while the army of Sky Sword Continent was 600,000. As for the kings, it was 500 versus 300. Many of the beast kings of Blood Sky Continent had gone to Sky Sword Continent instead of True Spirit Continent. Therefore, the number of kings here was not small. Compared to the evil spirit race, it was 60%. Adding the existence of the Sky Sword Continent, the sword artists of Sky Sword Continent could display extraordinary strength. 600,000 army was equivalent to 700,000 army, further making up for the difference. However, the evil spirit race was not to be trifled with. They launched an all-out attack as soon as they arrived, using 200 puppet battleships to bombard the army of Sky Sword Continent. Although they lost dozens of battleships in the end, they also killed nearly 1/5 of the army of Sky Sword Continent. Suddenly, the Sky Sword Continent was in a difficult situation. As for the high-level kings, Emperor Inshur was invincible. The number of kings of Sky Sword Continent that had died in his hands numbered in the dozens. The one blocking him now was an old monster of Sky Sword Continent, Old Ancestor Sky Sword. This old ancestor was a figure at the same level as Void Ancestor Jailer. He had lived in seclusion for hundreds of years, and his battle strength had reached the high 6-star level. However, it was obvious that he was not a match for Emperor Inshur. Emperor Inshur's strength was not weaker than the Lord of Fear at all. His battle strength had clearly reached the level of a 6-star overlord. When he used the Eclipse Palm technique, it could swallow the sky and corrode the sun. It was extremely terrifying. Old Ancestor Sky Sword was only able to contend with his opponent for a while because he had the home advantage. It was only a matter of time before he died. On the battlefield, the one with the most outstanding performance was, without a doubt, Snow Sword of Gojoseon. Ever since the Great Battle, his strength had made successive breakthroughs, and he had already surpassed his master, Snowflake Sword Emperor. Even Blue Cloud Sword Emperor was inferior to him by quite a bit. Next was Star Sword King. Star Sword King's 7-star point kill sword art had not only cultivated it to the 7th realm, but he had also grasped the ultimate move of 7 kills as one. This made his strength no longer weaker than Snowflake Sword Emperor and Blue Cloud Sword Emperor. Compared to Snow Sword of Gojoseon, he was only 30 to 40% weaker. The gap was not too big. As for the other 10 swords of Sky Sword Continent, they were all dead. The 8 young beast lords were also on Sky Sword Continent. Among them, 6 had already died. Only the strongest, young Elephant Lord, and the fastest, young Eagle Lord, were still struggling with all their might. It could be said that Sky Sword Continent was many times more miserable than True Spirit Continent. They had few high-level kings, and they didn't have a peerless character like Yi Chen or a heaven-defying group-killing ability like Su Jing. They didn't have any external help either. If nothing unexpected happened, the chances of Sky Sword Continent falling were more than 90%. If we die together. The 9-headed Serpent Emperor killed an evil king, but he himself was killed by another evil king. However, his death didn't attract any attention. At this moment, everyone was in danger. They couldn't even care about themselves, so how could they pay attention to others? The 9-headed Serpent Emperor's death was like a gust of wind blowing across a lake, leaving behind a few ripples. Zhan Tianxiang Emperor was much more tenacious than the 9-headed Serpent Emperor. At this moment, the advantage of a body-refining king was fully displayed. No matter how many evil kings besieged him, he could still hold on. His chi combined with his peak 5th step spirit body allowed his physical defense to surpass even Su King's. His protective chi power was even stronger than his protective Jin Yuan. Apart from Zhan Tianxiang Emperor, there was another powerful character on Blood Sky Continent. It was an alluring woman who looked like a demon. Back then, she and Blue Cloud Sword Emperor had investigated the source of the demonic chi. Her true form was a huge yellow python. Her enormous snake body slithered around, and the 3 evil kings besieging her couldn't do anything to her. If Yi Chen were here, he would definitely feel a sense of familiarity. After all, Huang Mei's true form on Gemstone Islands was also a yellow python. From the looks of it, they should be from the same clan. Perhaps, Huang Mei was the descendant of this beautiful woman. In Sky Sword Continent's Killing Sword domain, Evil Spirit Race and Sky Sword Continent's armies were engaged in a bitter battle. Among the crowd, Huang Mei's figure suddenly appeared. Her realm was already at the peak of the third layer of Life and Death Chamber, only a step away from Life and Death Realm. Although she couldn't be considered a continent-level genius, she could still be considered a peak genius. Great-grandmother insisted on choosing Sky Sword Continent. This is great. I'm afraid we'll be completely annihilated. Huang Mei smiled bitterly. She actually wanted to go to True Spirit Continent, but her grandmother had told her that it was too dangerous. The number of demons there was twice that of Evil Spirit Race, and it didn't have the home advantage. On the other hand, Sky Sword Continent had the heavenly sword converging the sword chi of the world, allowing the sword artists to display extraordinary strength. Apart from Huang Mei, there were two other acquaintances here, Yu Bingxin and Yu Lingshuang of Silvermoon White Fox clan. Yu Lingshuang had yet to reach Life and Death Realm, and her realm was the same as Huang Mei's, at the peak of the third layer. Yu Bingxin was also at the third layer. Auntie, what do you think of True Spirit Continent? Yu Bingxin asked. It should be even more dangerous. Yu Lingshuang guessed. The two didn't come to Sky Sword Continent because they felt that True Spirit Continent was dangerous, but because their Silvermoon White Fox clan was here. True Spirit Continent couldn't care less about Sky Sword Continent's miserable situation. Because of the demonic ancestral tree leaf, they had also sunk into bitter battles. In the starry sky, Yi Chen and Troll Emperor had destroyed countless stars. What's going on? How come his spirit, chi, and soul have already climbed to such a level? Troll Emperor was bewildered. The rise of spirit, chi, and soul could allow one to fight more and more valiantly without exhaustion. However, nobody would choose to do so until the very last moment, because it would result in exhaustion, making it unsuitable for a protracted battle. His previous strength was only at the low 7-star level because he had been sealed for countless years. His spirit, chi, and soul had suffered too much damage. Yi Chen, give up. Although you can contend against me with your skills for a while, you'll become more and more exhausted as time passes. The giant devil emperor was testing the other party. You'll know very soon. Yi Chen could feel that his spirit, chi, and soul had already reached a limit. If he continued to climb, he would break through this limit and reach the qualifications to communicate with the Three Flowers Great Tao. Die. Troll Emperor felt a trace of uneasiness. His demonic power surged and he punched. This time, Yi Chen didn't reveal his control over his strength. Instead, he met the attack head-on. Bang! Yi Chen's body shook, and he was blasted away. However, this shake allowed Yi Chen to break through the limit of his spirit, chi, and soul. Dense spirit, chi, and soul crazily gushed out from the top of his head and connected with the Three Flowers Great Tao. In the next moment, 3 illusory flowers appeared above Yi Chen's head. One red, one yellow, and one blue, they shone brilliantly. Chapter 1022. Secret Battle Technique. The Troll Emperor's pupils suddenly shrank. He could feel that Yi Chen's essence, chi, and spirit were twice as powerful as before. His terrifying aura was like a cosmic storm, spreading out in all directions. Under the impact of the aura, a group of meteorites nearby exploded into the tiniest specks of dust. Is this the realm of the Three Flowers borrowing the way? The moment the 3 flowers formed, Yi Chen's power skyrocketed. If it was a raging lake before, then it was now a supervolcano that could erupt at any time. Apart from that, the powerful power not only did not burden him at all, but it also made him feel like he could do whatever he wanted. Because the 3 flowers borrowing the way borrowed essence, qi, and spirit. Essence was qi and blood, qi was true essence, and spirit was the soul. With a powerful soul, there was nothing that couldn't be controlled. Moreover, Yi Chen's own soul was enough to handle any sudden increase in power, and there would not be a situation where he could not control his power. Raising his head, Yi Chen looked at the Troll Emperor. Now, we are at the same level in terms of power, but my techniques seem to be several times stronger than yours. Don't try to fool me. It's not like I haven't seen secret battle techniques before. Indeed, when you use the secret battle technique, you will become extremely powerful, but after that, you will also become weak. There is no such thing as a free lunch in this world. As long as I can hold on for this period of time, the one who will die will be you. The Troll Emperor was shocked at first, but then he laughed. If Yi Chen continued to fight with him, he really would not be able to do anything to him. In terms of power control, Yi Chen had already reached a divine level. Perhaps he could use his rich demonic power to exhaust his opponent to death, but who knew what would happen next? Now that Yi Chen had used the secret battle technique, it was his chance. As long as he could hold on for this period of time, victory would be his. He did not think that Yi Chen, whose combat power had doubled, could do anything to him. It was not like he had never encountered enemies stronger than himself. Previously, Yi Chen's combat power was higher than his, so he could not do anything to him. Oh, it seems like you're very confident. Yi Chen was familiarizing himself with the sudden increase in power, so he was not in a hurry to act. As for the Troll Emperor's reaction, it was within his expectations. The Troll Emperor was probably happy to buy time. Confidence is based on reality, but I'm sorry, you don't have the strength to kill me. The Troll Emperor shook his head. Let's give it a try then. Very soon, Yi Chen had familiarized himself with his new power. His strong cellular will gave him amazing adaptability, even though this was his first time performing the three flowers borrowing way. Raising the demon slaughtering sword high up, Yi Chen's body suddenly flashed, and the sword slashed out. The sword gleam spread out in an arc like a semicircle towards the Troll Emperor. The giant Devil Emperor took a deep breath and punched out to meet the sword light. Boom! The shockwave exploded, and the Troll Emperor's huge body was sent flying, crashing into a small star nearby. That star immediately cracked, and a huge crater appeared on it. This sword of Yi Chen's was at the same level as the Troll Emperor's. Logically, it should be a draw, but this sword was not that simple. The power was increasing, and as long as the sword gleam did not shatter at the first moment, it would have to endure an even greater force. The sword force was continuous. Green flames burned, and Yi Chen took a step forward, slashing towards the small star and the Troll Emperor on it. Puchi! The green sword veil extended to an extremely far distance, splitting the small star in half. The Troll Emperor, who was on it, was engulfed by the light produced by the star's explosion. The powerful shockwave split the two sides, and Yi Chen stood 1,000 miles away, his body as stable as Mount Tai. He knew that the Troll Emperor would not die so easily. As expected, in the center of the dazzling explosion, a black dot darted out. It was the Troll Emperor. His body returned to its original size, which was only 5 meters tall. This way, the damage he suffered would be much less. Very good, this sword made me lose 1% of my magic power, but that's it. The Troll Emperor did not care too much. This is just the beginning. The space between Yi Chen's eyebrows suddenly split open, and a silver vertical eye appeared. With a puchi, a silver beam shot out and bombarded the soul sea of the Troll Emperor. The Troll Emperor's head fell back, and he felt dizzy. Puchi! 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 After using the three flowers borrowing path, Yi Chen's soul power had increased dramatically. Whether it was in quantity or quality, it had doubled, which caused the power of the soul light to increase greatly. Moreover, he could use it many times. This was the reason why Yi Chen was confident that he could kill the Troll Emperor. Otherwise, he would not have been able to kill the Troll Emperor with just his battle power. If he had felt dizzy before, then now, the Troll Emperor was having a splitting headache. As a demon, although the Troll Emperor was not proficient in soul's secret techniques, his soul was extremely powerful. Almost no one in the same realm could use soul attacks to injure him, let alone destroy his soul. However, Yi Chen's soul attack had exceeded his expectations. It was actually this powerful. Of course, this was due to the secret technique, but it was also related to Yi Chen himself. How could he know that Yi Chen's soul power was 10 times that of a normal king? The strength of his soul was also unparalleled in Elysium because he had cultivated a Yuan soul secret technique. Yuan soul lock kill. After 4 consecutive soul lights, Yi Chen used the Yuan soul lock kill. An invisible golden halo shot out and entered the Troll Emperor's soul sea like lightning. It then suddenly shrank and wrapped around the Troll Emperor's soul sea. It started to spin and cut as if it wanted to cut the Troll Emperor's soul sea in half. Bastard! The giant devil emperor howled in grief. The 4 beams of silver light caused his soul sea to tremble and crack. Then, his soul sea was covered by a sharp golden ring of light. Although this golden ring of light was made of soul power, it was so dense that it was unimaginable. There were even many jagged edges on its edges. I don't have the confidence to use one. Let's use another. Yi Chen steeled his heart and used the Yuan soul lock kill again. 2 golden halos, one above and one below, completely locked the Troll Emperor's soul sea. One was slicing forward, and the other was slicing backward. However, after using Soul Light 4 times and Primordial Spirit Lock twice, he did not have much soul power left. If he continued to use it, it would inevitably affect his body's condition. After all, with his original soul power, he could only use Soul Light 5 times. Even if he doubled it and could use it 10 times, it should be known that 1 Primordial Spirit Lock would consume the same amount of Soul Light twice. Ah! The Troll Emperor was bleeding from his 7 orifices. He seemed to have gone crazy. A large amount of soul power was leaking out of his soul sea, and his own demonic power was also starting to leak. This was a sign that his soul sea was about to collapse. Yi Chen, I won't forgive you. Demon devour heart. The Troll Emperor's voice was full of resentment. This kind of resentment was almost like a curse. If the Troll Emperor hadn't shouted Yi Chen's name, but some other life and death king, he might have been cursed to death. It was hard to imagine how the Troll Emperor's voice could have such a magical power. It was simply unimaginable. Yi Chen's brows slightly creased. An intense change was happening on the Troll Emperor's body. An extremely strange aura spread out. The reason why the Troll Emperor's voice contained a curse was probably related to this strange aura. Pop! All of a sudden, the Troll Emperor's body split open. Looking carefully, one could see that the Troll Emperor's body had become hollow. Inside was a wolf-headed, human-bodied monster. Although the monster's fur was black, it didn't have the slightest bit of luster, giving off an ominous feeling. The demonic flame burned, and the Troll Emperor's body turned into ashes. The wolf-headed monster walked out from within. Its eyes had no pupils, only white. Hee, many thanks. If not for you, I wouldn't have been created. The wolf-headed monster spoke in human language. You were created? Yi Chen felt it was inconceivable. To be precise, I am the parasitic demon inside the Troll Emperor's body. Since his soul sea was about to collapse and could not be saved, he used a secret art to recover my consciousness. As a parasitic demon, I can naturally absorb the essence of the host's body and turn his power into my own. The wolf-headed monster explained. What a troublesome fellow. Even on his deathbed, he still wants to do something like this. Yi Chen didn't know what kind of existence a parasitic demon was, but he believed that it wouldn't tell him these secrets. He could feel that this parasitic demon's strength was slightly weaker than the Troll Emperor's, but it was even more bizarre. And now, he only had about 10% of his soul force left. Obviously, he couldn't destroy the other's soul. As if guessing Yi Chen's thoughts, the wolf-headed monster laughed, "I'm not that stupid. Fighting you to the death and occupying Elysium won't do me any good. So, don't worry. After this, I will leave Elysium and start a life that belongs to me." The other party's words made Yi Chen stunned. "Aren't you demons?" "Huh, us parasitic demons are both needed and taboo to the devil race. All the parasitic demons are kept in captivity, and they only treat us as tools. If my guess is correct, a wisp of the giant devil emperor's soul origin should be rooted in my soul. One day, when his soul origin is strong enough, he will try to take my body and be reborn." The parasitic demon's aura was very ominous, but its words carried a hint of sadness. "Then I wish you luck." Yi Chen believed the other party, but he didn't let his guard down. He squinted his eyes slightly. The parasitic demon didn't care. It turned around and flew towards the direction of the dead end. "I hope that one day, we can meet outside. Goodbye." The next moment, the parasitic demon disappeared into the vast space. What a strange demons. He stayed where he was for a long time until the parasitic demon completely disappeared. Only then did he sigh. The demon race was different from the human race. There were only humans in the human race, and there was no difference between humans. However, there were many races in the demon race, such as the flower demon, the dark demon, the demonic demon, and this parasitic demon. It was like 100 flowers blooming together. Chapter 1023. The Troll Emperor was dead, and the parasitic demon had left. However, the black battle armor made of 36 leaves remained, floating in the sky. Reaching out, Yi Chen tried to grab the black battle armor. Swish! The black battle armor was full of spirituality as it drilled downward, trying to return to the fiend ancestral tree. "It's not up to you." Yi Chen was not like other kings. Even if the leaves of the fiend ancestral tree had spirituality, it would be hard for them to get rid of him. His figure flickered and appeared in front of the black battle armor. With a grabbing motion, the black battle armor landed in his hand. Like a snake that had been grabbed by its weak spot, the black battle armor quieted down. The will in Yi Chen's hand had isolated its connection with the fiend ancestral tree. This is indeed a treasure. Arranging a layer of immortal sword intent on the black battle armor, Yi Chen threw it into his storage ring. Shwa! Turning into a beam of light, Yi Chen flew toward the true spirit continent. Above the ocean, the number of demon kings was still around 80. Facing 3 times the number of enemies, their losses were quite small, only a dozen or so. On the other hand, the losses of true spirit continent's side were a bit bigger, also a dozen or so. Losing so many people while having far more people than the other side was indeed a bit dissatisfying. However, they couldn't be blamed for not risking their lives. Because of the black battle armor, the strength of these demon kings had skyrocketed. At the very least, their battle power had increased by 2 folds, and the most had increased by 3 to 4 folds. Being able to fight evenly was already not bad. When the difference in numbers wasn't too frightening, quality was more important than quantity. Your Elysium is going to lose this time. The essence, chi, and soul of Lord Troll Emperor have completely recovered. Adding the might of the demon's martial arts, it's enough to kill Yi Chen. On the side of the demon race, there was only one remaining 6-star demon king. His battle strength was originally at the peak of mid-6th star. However, after putting on the black battle armor, his strength reached the peak of 6th star. He could contend against Su Jing, Murong Qingcheng, and the brown-robed old man by himself. His strength was rather frightening. Of course, these 3 were not ordinary people. They had suppressed him to the point where he couldn't even retaliate. Dream on. Murong Qingcheng's fist technique was sinister and overbearing, exploding upon contact. Coupled with her unparalleled mobility, her opponent couldn't catch her trajectory at all and could only passively take a beating. The Troll Emperor is just a stepping stone for junior brother Yi. Su Jing's dragon body became dozens of meters long, and her dragon claws were indestructible. The opponent's protective magic was shattered by her dragon claws, unable to maintain its integrity. Just you wait and see. The Demon King snorted coldly. About half a cup of tea's time later, a streak of light flew over from the third heaven, which couldn't close due to the battle between the Undying Tree and the Abyssal Ancestral Tree. Who is it? The four of them looked over. Impossible. The six-star devil's face was extremely pale. Just a moment ago, he was full of confidence, but now, he was as dejected as a dead man. Who? Murong Qingcheng and Su Jing heaved a sigh of relief at the same time. Although they were extremely confident in Yi Chen, this kind of confidence was almost blind. However, they were very clear about the Troll Emperor's strength. If Yi Chen wanted to kill him, it wouldn't be as difficult as ascending to the heavens, but it wouldn't be easy either. Therefore, they could only completely sigh of relief now. What a terrifying young man. The old man in brown was amazed. He never thought that there would be such an amazing person in this era. Compared to him, most of the titled monarchs from ancient times would pale in comparison. The other demon kings also saw Yi Chen, but they didn't see Lord Troll Emperor. An intense uneasiness rose in their hearts, and they couldn't help but ask, Yi Chen, where is my Lord Troll Emperor? Floating in the air, Yi Chen looked down at the demon kings. The boundless starry sky will be his final resting place. Impossible. How could you kill Lord Troll Emperor? You must have tricked us and shaken off Lord Troll Emperor, then came to deceive us. Everyone, don't believe him. He wants to use this to attack us and make us lose our fighting spirit. Kill for me, kill until the Troll Emperor returns. Some demon kings didn't believe Yi Chen's words and roared in anger. Truly foolish demons. Yi Chen shook his head, and his expression suddenly turned cold. Shua, his figure flashed, and Yi Chen flashed past a demon king. Fresh blood splashed 300 feet into the air. Whether you believe me or not, that's your business. I have no obligation to make you believe me. If you want to kill me, I'll accompany you. The three flowers above his head had already been dispersed by Yi Chen. Other than the Troll Emperor, no one was qualified to make him use the three flowers to borrow the Tao. Even so, his battle prowess was still as high as a 7-star. In the entire Elysium, there wasn't a second 7-star battle prowess. The sword light shuttled back and forth like threads, and demon kings fell one after another under Yi Chen's sword. Even if they had black battle armor and their strength had increased by several times, to Yi Chen, it was meaningless. Killing them was as easy as eating and drinking. 7-star against 6-star and 5-star. This wasn't just suppression, it was pure suppression. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the number of demon kings decreased from 80 to a dozen. Finally, they believed the truth that the Troll Emperor had fallen. To them, this was too cruel. All of them had lost their fighting spirit, and their eyes were lifeless. We'll go chase after those puppet warships. I'll leave them to you. Yi Chen said to everyone. Okay. The people of Elysium nodded. If they couldn't even deal with a dozen demon kings, they might as well find a block of tofu and kill themselves. Living would be a waste of heaven and earth energy. The ones chasing after the puppet warships were Yi Chen, Su Jing, and Murong Qingcheng. They were the fastest. The demons only had about 300 puppet warships left. At this moment, they had already entered the starry sky and were flying toward a dead end. Their speed was so fast that not many could catch up. I'll go first. With a flap of her demonic wings, Murong Qingcheng speed soared, and in the blink of an eye, she had shaken off Yi Chen and Su Jing. That's not necessarily true. Su Jing had already turned into a human, but after hearing Murong Qingcheng's words, she once again turned into a golden dragon. With a wave of her dragon tail, countless energy storms erupted in the starry sky, and even a small star was destroyed. As for Su Jing herself, she had already turned into a majestic golden storm and chased after Morong Qingcheng. Now that he was the only one left, Yi Chen smiled bitterly. Alright, let's see how fast I am. After entering the third layer of life and death realm, Yi Chen's sword domain had already broken through to the fourth layer. At this moment, with the sword domain of the fourth layer fully activated, Yi Chen's speed soared. The huge sword domain seemed to have turned into an invisible propeller, continuously shortening the distance between him and the two in front of him. Morong Qingcheng and Su Jing looked at Yi Chen. Yi Chen smiled, "Don't look down on me. No matter how fast the puppet warships were, they couldn't be faster than the three of them. Most importantly, they needed to reach a certain speed before they could use space stones to travel through the starry sky." Soon, the three caught up to the puppet warships. The puppet warships seemed to have a soul power isolating array arranged with soul stones. Morong Qingcheng and Su Jing's soul attacks couldn't kill the demons inside. Moreover, Yi Chen didn't have much soul power left, so he didn't use any soul attacks. However, this didn't matter. Flying to the center of the puppet warships, Yi Chen expanded his sword domain to the limit. The enormous sword pressure acted on the puppet warships, slowing them down until they finally stopped. Bang bang bang. The demons inside the puppet warships were still unwilling to give up. One light beam after another bombarded Yi Chen. Unfortunately, it was futile. Yi Chen casually swung his sword once or twice to deflect all the light beams. With Yi Chen holding the puppet warships in place, Su Jing and Morong Qingcheng forcibly opened the doors and killed all the demons inside. "Let's go back." Turning around, Yi Chen flew in the direction of True Spirit Continent. The 300 puppet warships bound to his sword domain didn't leave his side. On the ocean gazing, the situation was completely one-sided. It wasn't that Elysium's army was too powerful, surpassing the demon army, but that Life and Death Kings had joined the fray. Life and Death Kings slaughtering the demons was as easy as chopping melons and vegetables. There was no suspense at all, especially Duguju. With a swing of his blade, the sky full of demons turned into a rain of blood. His hatred for the demons had almost reached the pinnacle. After scanning with his soul power, Yi Chen let out a sigh of relief. None of the people he valued in Fallen Dust Sword sect had died. However, this was within his expectations. After all, his sword intent Shen Yuan was incomparably powerful, enough to let them face any enemy. That demonic sword. There was a forbidden area in the ocean gazing, the place where Demon Emperor and the demon-cursed sword had fallen. Anyone who approached this area would immediately die for no reason. Even ordinary Life and Death Kings couldn't bear it. Disregarding the powerful curse power, Yi Chen arrived beside the demon-cursed sword and grabbed it. Buzz! An extremely cold and gloomy power flowed through the sword and entered Yi Chen's body. Humph! Activating the seventh step Immortal Sword Intent, the cold and gloomy power was instantly shattered. This sword's quality is the same as my demon slaughtering sword, only a high-grade sword. However, there's a bloodstain on it. Yi Chen's sword forging arts had already reached an extremely profound level. He could tell with a single glance that there was nothing special about the demon-cursed sword. The only thing special about it was that there was a bloodstain on the sword's body. This bloodstain was extremely ancient and had been imprinted on the sword's body. It contained a curse power, turning the sword's source power into curse power. If Yi Chen couldn't contend against this curse power, his Shen Yuan would also turn into cursed Shen Yuan and suffer a calamity. I wonder if I can disassemble this sword. Yi Chen wasn't interested in the demon-cursed sword. What he was interested in was the materials used to forge it. Putting away the demon-cursed sword, Yi Chen was about to destroy the demon-cursed demon emperor's body. Yi Chen, there are demonic energy stones inside the demon-cursed demon emperor's bones. They're useful to me. Morong Qingcheng suddenly said. Yi Chen frowned. If I'm not mistaken, his demonic energy stones are cursed. Don't worry. My dark demoness bloodline has a certain immunity to curse power. Murong Qingqing explained. All right. Yi Chen faintly nodded. The demon-cursed demon emperor was a 7th-layer life and death demon emperor. His demonic energy stones were extraordinary. After absorbing its essence, Murong Qingqing's demonic body would at least advance by 1 rank. Chapter 1024. The cursed demon emperor's appearance was too ugly. Even though he was dead, he still looked very disgusting. No one would look down on normal ugliness. After all, some things were innate. However, the cursed demon emperor's ugliness had been modified. In the entire Elysium, it would be impossible to find a human that was 1/10 as ugly as him. If one could be found, it would definitely be a miracle. Murong Qingqing wasn't a woman who judged people by their appearance, but she didn't want to look at the cursed demon emperor for too long. Her exquisite fist shook the cursed demon emperor's body. Bang! The cursed demon emperor's body exploded and turned into ashes. With a gust of wind, the ashes dissipated, leaving behind a dozen black magical energy crystals. These magical energy crystals were different from the magical energy crystals obtained in the dimensional battlefield. The energy they contained was very terrifying, and there was a faint black halo on their surface. Master, you and I each get half. Murong Qingqing pushed her hand forward, and half of the magical energy crystals flew in front of the Demon Flower Emperor. The Demon Flower Emperor shook his head and pushed the magical energy crystals back. He said, "It will help you more than it will help me. Moreover, I have also collected some magical energy crystals." The Demon Flower Emperor stretched out his right hand and opened it. There were 8 black magical energy crystals in his palm. These magical energy crystals were obtained from the skeletons of some demon kings that hadn't reached the blood rebirth realm. Unfortunately, most of the demon kings had been smashed to pieces, so there couldn't be any magical energy crystals left. We've suffered heavy casualties in this battle. The one who spoke was the Spirit Pill King. The reason he was able to survive was mostly due to luck, and a small part was due to medicinal pills. Of course, he had also given many medicinal pills to the other kings, and their effects couldn't be underestimated. For example, some medicinal pills that could replenish qi and blood, some medicinal pills that could increase strength, and some medicinal pills that could increase defense. These were all very useful. Yi Chen said, "This victory was the result of everyone working together. Although they are dead, their spirits are still there. I suggest that we build a king's graveyard. Only the kings that died for Elysium can be buried in the king's graveyard, so that the future generations will remember their contributions." This suggestion isn't bad. Xianhou nodded. "Yeah, I agree as well. I don't think anyone would disagree." Thinking about the people who had died, everyone's heart sank. There were too many of them. Out of the 600 life and death realm warriors, only 200 were left. The underground race had joined later, but they had also lost 20 of them. Among them, some were already old, and some were just at the beginning of their lives. For example, Lu Xiaoyu, Bai Minghui, Xia Hozuan, and the other martial geniuses. Their deaths were a huge loss for Elysium. The dead are gone. The ones who survived should be even stronger. Yi Chen sighed. He glanced at Du Guju, Dan Tai Mingyue, Chu Zhongtian, Lu Wujian, Jiang Tian, Lan Sanmei, Yan Fengfeng, and the other martial geniuses who had survived. They were all martial geniuses of the same generation as him, and it was not easy for them to survive. As Yi Chen looked over, they looked over as well. There were all kinds of emotions in their eyes, some were hidden sadness, some were reminiscing, and some were thinking. Right then, silence was better than words. Even Jiang Tian, who had some conflicts with Yi Chen, also looked over with a hint of apology in his eyes. After this battle, everyone had formed a friendship. This kind of friendship might not be that of friends, but it was definitely kind, just like a comrade in arms. It was not hard to imagine that for a long time in the future, Elysium would be very peaceful. Even if the treasures appeared, it would not make them kill each other. Enough people had died already, and they would rather give up on the treasures than waving their knives at their former comrade in arms. Although, fighting was the source of human evolution. The battle had already been decided, and there were only a few tens of thousands of demon army warriors left. However, there was still one big mystery that had yet to be revealed, which was the battle between the Undying Tree and the Demon Ancestral Tree. It would not be an exaggeration to say that if the Demonic Ancestor Tree won, all of their previous efforts would vanish like smoke in thin air. A single Demonic Ancestor Tree could kill all of them. An 8th layer life and death battle strength was not something that could be defeated with numbers. After all, it had already surpassed 10-star battle strength. It will take a long time for a winner to be decided. We will not be of much use here, so we should go check out the Sky Sword continent. Yi Chen said suddenly. Right. I almost forgot about it. Oh no, I actually forgot about this. Many people patted their heads, their faces full of vexation. Actually, they could not be blamed for forgetting about it. It was mainly because the battle with the demons had been too intense, and they had only won after several twists and turns. During that time, they had thought that there was no hope, but Yi Chen had turned the tide several times. Now that the battle was coming to an end, their nerves had relaxed, and they were not willing to think about anything else. Naturally, they had also thrown the matter of the Sky Sword continent to the back of their minds. There is no need for too many people to go. The demons have been eliminated by us, and the evil spirit race will not be able to make any big waves. This way, those who are willing to come can come, and those who are not can clean up the mess. It is not good for everyone to go. Yi Chen said. In the end, only 70 or 80 people went to the Sky Sword continent. It was not that the others did not want to go, but they felt that there was no need to go. In the entire Elysium, apart from the Demon Ancestral Tree, which enemy could be Yi Chen's opponent? Moreover, those who went with Yi Chen were all peak experts. There was a huge teleportation array between the True Spirit continent and the Sky Sword continent. Through it, Yi Chen and the rest arrived at the Sky Sword continent in a short while. The Sky Sword continent was already on the verge of collapse. The army of Sea of Soul Realm and Astral Reaching Realm warriors had less than 100,000 left, and the kings were only left with 50. Defeated. We are really going to be defeated. Ancestors, I'm sorry, but we really can't stop them. But, you can rest assured. Even if there is only one soldier left, we will fight to the end. We will not retreat. If you want to occupy the Sky Sword continent, you'll have to do it over my dead body. Not to mention the others, even the Snow Sword King and the Star Sword King were ready to die. As for the 8 young demon lords, another one had died, and only the young elephant lord was left. They could not see any hope, nor could they see any turning point. The only thing left was their own obsession, and that was to kill as many evil spirits as possible. Yi Chen, it would be great if I could see how you fight before I die. Star Sword King couldn't help but think of Yi Chen. For sword artists, the sword Tao was their life's pursuit, and the one walking in front was undoubtedly their guide. Yi Chen was the strongest sword artist at the same stage since ancient times. Star Sword King wanted to see how he faced his predicament. Die. The 4 evil kings joined hands and attacked Star Sword King. Star Sword Monarch smiled bitterly. This time, he couldn't block it anymore. However, it was impossible for him to die without any resistance. He mustered all of his Jin Yuan and was ready to die. Rip. Right at this moment, an arc-like sword light pierced through the space and swept past the bodies of the 4 evil kings. With a puff, the 4 evil kings didn't even have the time to scream before turning into nothingness. Star Sword King, long time no see. A familiar voice reverberated in the sky. It's Sword King Yi Chen. Yi Chen is here. And Duguju, Dan Tai Mingyue, Chu Zhongtian. Why are they all here? Don't tell me True Spirit Continent has fallen. Impossible. Didn't you see their expressions? That's the expression of True Spirit Continent falling. Don't tell me, the kings of Sky Sword Continent discussed spiritedly, their emotions surging. Soon after, an ecstatic expression appeared on their faces. Since True Spirit Continent hadn't fallen, and the other side had rushed over, didn't it mean that they had defeated the demons and were here to rescue them? Yi Chen. Star Sword King looked as if he had seen a ghost. Snow Sword King Gojoseon also looked over, his eyes filled with astonishment. Smiling, Yi Chen said to the people behind him, "You guys go and exterminate the evil spirit army. Leave this place to us." Yes. Of the 70 to 80 people who had followed, 50 went to help the Sky Sword Continent army. The remaining 20 were relatively stronger. Bang! 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 Without any hesitation, the 20 or so people led by Yi Chen charged toward the evil kings. In an instant, dozens of evil kings fell as if they were chopping vegetables. Yi Chen, True Spirit Continent. Star Sword King asked. Victory. Yi Chen killed batch after batch of evil kings and replied. Yi Chen, you're courting death. Emperor Inshe rushed over. He didn't know how the demons were defeated, but the Troll Emperor was definitely not killed by Yi Chen. He reckoned that some special reason had led to the demons' defeat. Let me end your life. Emperor Inshe's strength was very close to 7-star, and he seemed to be a bit stronger than the Lord of Fear. His hands slapped out repeatedly, and sinister palm winds swallowed the sky and corroded the sun, surging toward Yi Chen. Yi Chen, be careful. The few kings of the Sky Sword Continent who had just been saved by Yi Chen warned him. Not far away, Chu Zhongtian curled his lips. The one who should be careful should be Emperor Inshe. Facing Emperor Inshe, Yi Chen only slashed out once. Puff! In the next moment, Emperor Inshe died, and not even his bones were left. This. Everyone was shocked, including the evil spirit race. Someone as powerful as Emperor Inshe couldn't even block a single sword strike from Yi Chen. Were their eyes playing tricks on them? No. The remaining evil kings of the evil spirit race roared angrily. Unfortunately, what welcomed them was death. A casual strike from Su Jing's dragon body could annihilate a group of evil kings. Murong Qingcheng was like a flickering black speck of light. Every time a black speck of light appeared, it would be accompanied by the fall of an evil king. Duguju's despair blade arts were invincible, and anyone who touched them would die. Soon, the number of evil kings of the evil spirit race went from 300 to 100, then less than 100, less than 50, and less than 30. The time it took to finish a cup of tea didn't even exceed 10 minutes. Victory! Everyone cheered wildly. From despair to victory, it was difficult for outsiders to understand the changes in their minds. At least, the True Spirit Continent still had Yi Chen to give them hope. Many thanks. The Snow Sword of Gojoseon said deeply to Yi Chen. There's no need to thank me. Everyone is fighting for Elysium. The demon-slaying sword returned to its sheath. The remaining evil kings of the evil spirit race were just 2 or 3 kittens. There was no need for him to make a move. Chapter 1025. With the death of the numerous evil kings, the army of evil spirit race immediately became rootless duckweed. Although they looked like a sea of people, it was useless no matter how many they had. Without reaching life and death realm, they were all ants. Perhaps if they joined hands, they might be able to kill ordinary life and death kings, but they couldn't kill 4-star kings or 5-star kings, not to mention 6-star kings. Like harvesting rice, large swathes of evil spirits were instantly killed, and blood dyed the ground red. The so-called large swathes were thousands or even thousands of evil spirits. Who would have thought that true spirit continent could defeat the demons, who are several times more powerful than evil spirit race, and even come to save us? Didn't you see? Sword King Yi Chen is already inhumanly powerful. Even Emperor Inshi couldn't block a casual sword strike from him. Killing the other evil kings is simply reaping lives. After this battle, Yi Chen's Sword King title will be passed down through the ages. At that time, people will only know Sword King Yi Chen, and not the ancient Sword King. In the eyes of the people of Sky Sword Continent, Yi Chen was already equivalent to an ancient titled monarch. Moreover, the most frightening thing was that Yi Chen was still so young, only 36 years old. Compared to a life and death king's lifespan of 1,000 years, this age was nothing. No, as long as one walked out of Elysium, their lifespan would reach 100,000 years. Finally, all the evil spirits were killed. Above the killing sword domain, corpses and bones covered the ground, and blood flowed everywhere. In many places, the blood had converged, forming a shallow lake. Standing amidst the mountains of corpses and seas of blood, many participants were crying tears of joy, but even more were cheering. Without staying for long, Yi Chen and the rest teleported back to True Spirit Continent. The Undying Tree and the demonic Ancestral Tree were still fighting. However, everyone could see that the Undying Tree had the absolute upper hand. After all, this was Elysium, the home ground of the Undying Tree. As an outsider, the demonic Ancestral Tree would be somewhat suppressed. The Undying Tree brandished its vines, and every time it lashed out, it would leave a deep mark on the demonic Ancestral Tree's trunk. This battle continued for 7 days and 7 nights. Finally, the demonic Ancestral Tree exhausted its demonic energy and died. In Elysium, although it could convert the Yuan Qi of the heaven and earth into its own demonic energy, it required a process and could not be converted immediately. In these 7 days and 7 nights, the Undying Tree had injured the demonic Ancestral Tree tens of millions of times, perhaps billions of times. Each time, it would take away some of its demonic energy, and in the end, no matter how much demonic energy the demonic Ancestral Tree had, it would not be enough. Although the demonic Ancestral Tree had died, its body had not been completely destroyed. If it stayed outside, there might be a chance for it to revive. The Undying Tree used its vines to wrap around the opponent and dragged it into the depths of the earth. In the end, both of them disappeared. At this point, the great calamity of the foreign races had come to an end. Elysium had once again defeated the foreign races. With the end of the great battle, there was naturally no need for people to stay in the ocean gazing. They brought the corpses of their relatives and friends, and those without corpses carried a handful of soil stained with their own blood. Each and every one of them had a sorrowful expression, filled with indescribable exhaustion. The Demon Flower Emperor was prepared to turn the ocean gazing into the new homeland of the demonic humans. If it were before, this would have been an impossible matter. The kings of True Spirit Continent would not sit and watch as demonic humans entered the continent in large numbers. But now, no one had any objections. In this great battle, the demonic humans had also contributed a lot. More than 70% of the demonic humans who had participated in the battle had died. So what if this small region of the ocean gazing was given to her? Nobody knew, but at least for a long time, the two races would be on friendly terms. Su Jing returned to the Dragon God's celestial palace to clean up the mess. The palace had also lost a lot of people, and many of the upper echelons had perished. Su Jing needed to appoint new upper echelons to allow the palace to operate normally. Murong Qingcheng and her father returned to the Murong clan. After the great battle, Murong Jishui had agreed to the Demon Flower Emperor's invitation, willing to merge the Murong clan with the Demon Flower Emperor's demonic humans. However, this was a matter for the future. Right now, there were still many things to do. Once everything was settled, he would discuss this matter with his clansmen. For a moment, the entire Elysium had quieted down. Everyone needed to deal with the aftermath, especially the big sects, who needed to appoint their upper echelons. Yi Chen's fallen dust sword sect could be said to have suffered the least losses. Of the 5,000 people who had participated in the battle, there were still around 3,000 survivors. This was mainly due to the effect of the sword formations. Dozens of sword snake formations, 7 to 8 sword dragon formations, and 2 Big Dipper 7-star sword formations had killed countless demons in their hands, which had greatly reduced the pressure on the other members of the fallen dust sword sect. Yi Chen didn't have any regrets in this battle. He had left a drop of sword intent Xin Yuan in the souls of the people he valued. However, his friends and relatives would also have their friends and relatives. Although Yi Chen had a lot of soul power, he couldn't take care of everything. Every drop of sword intent Xin Yuan consumed would take a long time to recover. During the great battle, if he couldn't maintain his perfect state, then he would be dead for sure. When battling with the Troll Emperor, which battle hadn't been filled with danger? After dealing with some matters as the sect leader, Yi Chen went into seclusion. He needed to recover his soul power. Killing the Troll Emperor had consumed 90% of his soul power, and he had only recovered less than 10%. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. It was almost the new year. Once the new year was over, Yi Chen would grow another year older, turning 37 years old. Snowflakes fluttered down, white and flawless, sparkling and translucent. On the dusk peak, the peak was covered with snow. Some small animals that liked winter came out to look for food, or to play in the snow. Creak. The palace gate in the middle of the snow slowly opened, and Yi Chen, who was still wearing a thin blue robe, walked out. He took a deep breath, breathing in the air that belonged to winter. It's almost the new year, right? In the past few years, Yi Chen had always been celebrating the new year. Before this, he basically wasn't at home. He was either adventuring outside, or he couldn't return home. The achievements he had now were piled up by loneliness and solitude. No one could casually achieve success, and he was no exception. Those small animals didn't seem to be afraid of Yi Chen. When Yi Chen walked near them, they only glanced at him and continued playing, leaving a string of small paw prints on the snow. Whoosh! A strong gust of wind blew past, and a large amount of snow suddenly fell from the top of the mountain. This was a sign of an avalanche. The next moment, the snow swooped down like a white wave. It looked like the frolicking animals and Yi Chen were about to be drowned by the snow. But the next moment, everything stopped. The dancing snowflakes froze in midair, and the tidal wave of snow froze on the slope. The wave tip was a beautiful arc. Neither too fast nor too slow, Yi Chen carried the small animals in his arms and walked toward the back. When he reached the snowy ground in front of the palace, everything returned to normal. The snowflakes continued to dance in the air, and the avalanche continued as usual. Muffled rumbling sounds could be heard, drowning everything there. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The small animals still didn't know what had happened. They only knew that they had inexplicably landed in the arms of the owner of the mountain. Rubbing their heads against Yi Chen's chest, they jumped down and surrounded Yi Chen. A faint smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. The 3 months of closed-door training had not only helped him recover his soul power, but had also allowed him to digest the comprehension he had gained during the great battle. For example, the Blood Rebirth Realm, the rank 5 Immortal Sword intent contained in each of his cells, and the mysteries of the 4th level of the Sword Domain. These were all things that he couldn't grasp in a short time. He needed to digest them and understand them himself. Just now, he didn't need to take out his sword, but he could still create the effect of space freezing, which was a big gain. This was the result of fusing the essence of sword moves with his sword aura. In other words, as long as he used his sword aura, he could make the space freeze. Those who weren't proficient in the profound of space and were weak wouldn't even be qualified for him to draw his sword. He could completely make the opponent freeze there, or leave calmly, or go and finish them off. It was very simple. Apart from that, he could already fuse his sword aura with his sword domain. In this way, the sword domain would have the effect of freezing space, and it was even more powerful than pure sword aura. During the ranking battles of the Life and Death Palace, he had used his sword domain to freeze the young undying demon lord. Now that he had fused his sword aura with his sword domain, it was many times more powerful than before. The essence of sword moves had fused with his sword aura, and the sword aura had fused with his sword domain. Naturally, Yi Chen's momentary brilliance had also improved tremendously. Every time he used his sword, everything within 1,000 zhang would be within its effective range. The power of his sword moves had also doubled. Without using the 3 flowers borrowing the way, Yi Chen's pure battle strength had already reached the peak of 7-star. If the Troll Emperor were to come back to life, Yi Chen was 90% sure that he could kill him with his real strength, instead of using soul attacks to destroy his soul. Of course, since he had improved so much, the others wouldn't be too far behind. The calamity of the foreign races was a disaster, but it was also an opportunity. As long as they could survive, they would definitely improve. Those who had exhausted their potential might break through their limits and reach a higher level. Another half a month passed, and it was the new year. This year's new year was even livelier and more joyous than usual. This was because everyone knew that this new year was not easy to come by. It was exchanged with blood, so there was no reason not to cherish it. Sometimes, living was a kind of happiness. Living an ordinary life might be a better happiness. At least, they didn't need to care about other things, and could just live their own lives. After the new year, the atmosphere of Elysium changed. Of course, this kind of atmosphere only spread among life and death kings. They already knew that after the new year, Yi Chen would go to the path of death. Before that, he would probably go to a certain place. Emperor Scar Steel. Chapter 1026. Sky Martial Region, Emperor Canyon. This was a holy land, as well as a forbidden area. Since ancient times, those who thought themselves to be unparalleled had entered, but the majority of them had left dejectedly. Being unparalleled in the current era also depended on the era. Not every era's unparalleled expert could leave their mark on the Emperor Scar Steel. Many people speculated that one had to have at least 7-star battle strength to leave a mark. As for whether it was true or not, no one had tested it yet. This was because in the current era, apart from Yi Chen, no one else had reached 7-star battle strength. After the new year, many kings had been waiting here. They had received news that Yi Chen would leave his mark on the Emperor Scar Steel either today or tomorrow. If he did not leave his mark, he might not be able to return for a short period of time. Once the demons and evil spirit race knew that their army had suffered a great defeat and that there was a character like Yi Chen, they would definitely dispatch even more powerful kings to guard the death path. At that time, it would be easy for Yi Chen to leave, but difficult for him to enter. They're here, they're really here. In the afternoon, under the blazing sun, 3 figures flew over. They were precisely Su Jing, Morong Qingcheng, and Yi Chen. Junior brother Yi, today is the day your name will be passed down through the ages. Su Jing looked at the dozens of kings guarding the canyon and turned her head to speak to Yi Chen. Yi Chen said, "If I go through the death path, I don't know if I'll be able to return for a short period of time. I've done what I should do, and it can be considered as fulfilling a part of my wish." Leaving a mark didn't mean that Yi Chen valued this honor. He was merely imitating the ancients. If he didn't leave a mark, he would be looking down on the ancients. Shwa! 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 The 5 landed near the Emperor Scar Steel. I wonder if this Yi Chen can leave a mark. He should be able to. According to the Emperor Scroll, the majority of titled monarchs were not as strong as Yi Chen. There's no reason why they could leave a mark while Yi Chen couldn't. Among the many kings, a white-haired king held a book in his left hand and a pen in his right. On the cover of the book were 3 large words, Imperial Book. Speaking of the Emperor Book, many people knew about it. This was a book used to record the deeds of those who could leave marks on the Emperor's scar steel. This was just a copy. The true Emperor book could not be carried around. This was the second time Yi Chen had come to Emperor Canyon and arrived in front of Emperor Scar Steel. The last time he came, he was only at Sea of Soul Realm. Even approaching Emperor Scar Steel was difficult. But now, if he wanted to, he could completely touch the steel. Standing several miles away, Yi Chen looked up at the tall Emperor Scar Steel with a calm expression. Only his blue clothes fluttered in the wind from the Emperor Scar Steel's Emperor Qi and various wills. Clang! Unsheathing the demon slaughtering sword, Yi Chen's figure flickered as he stabbed at the empty space below the last mark. That mark was left by Yuan Emperor. Space became still and Emperor Qi stagnated. The crimson demon slaughtering sword's tip erupted with a resplendent red light. This red light, with the sword tip as the center, erupted unceasingly. But strangely, no matter how fierce the eruption was, it was only the size of a fist, as if all of its might was restrained within. Rip! Sword Qi wreaked havoc in the empty space below Yuan Emperor's scar, shooting out in a spiral pattern. Yi Chen's sword tip pierced through it. Success! The white-haired old man's hand slightly trembled. Although he had long since known that with Yi Chen's strength, he would definitely be able to leave a mark on the Emperor's Scar Steel, he was still a little uncertain. Drifting back, Yi Chen returned to his original position. Everyone looked up and saw that the mark of a sword flower had appeared at the bottom of the Emperor's Scar Steel. This sword flower was only the size of a bowl, but the sword intent it emitted was exceptionally sharp. Facing this sword flower, one would feel as if their soul was being pierced. Apart from this, the aura emitted by this sword flower gave off a feeling of space becoming still. Unknowingly, one would be immersed within it, unable to extricate themselves. This was the essence of instant glory. Next, it's the path of death. Yi Chen had been waiting for this day for a very long time. Senior Fire Emperor had failed in the path of death and passed away beneath the mountain behind the Eternal Sky Sect. Senior Dragon King had entered the path of death and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Entering the path of death had already become a knot in the heart of Elysium. Every generation's unparalleled character would enter the path of death, but those who succeeded were few and far between. Although some people could pass through the path of death even without unparalleled strength, they had to rely on heaven-defying luck. Not everyone had heaven-defying luck. That year, the 37-year-old Sword King Yi Chen left a sword flower mark on the Emperor's Scar Steel. After Yuan Emperor, he was the first person to leave a mark. On this day, Yi Chen left behind a living legend in the Emperor's Scar Steel. Near the path of death, almost all the life and death kings were present. Different from the Emperor's Scar Steel, they could look at it at any time. On the other hand, entering the path of death could only be done once. Apart from those who had entered the path of death, nobody knew how many experts were guarding the path of death. Nobody knew whether one could enter again after passing through the path of death. Everything was unknown. Therefore, this might be the last time they would see Yi Chen for a very long time. Of course, they hoped that Yi Chen could clear the path of death and kill all the experts guarding the path of death. This way, they would all be able to leave. Unfortunately, this didn't seem too realistic. Yi Chen, you must succeed. Chu Zhongtian said loudly. I will. Standing at the forefront, Yi Chen turned around with a faint smile on his face. Behind him, the pitch-black path of death was like a passage leading to hell. It seemed as if it wanted to devour people, emitting a frightening killing intent. I believe in you, just like how I believe that you won't die so easily at the hands of the Troll Emperor. Duguju crossed his arms, his white hair dazzling. Many thanks for your trust. I believe that I, Yi Chen, will not stop at the path of death. Sucking in a deep breath, Yi Chen's gaze swept through the crowd, Xianhou, Demon Flower Emperor, Jailer, Su King, Air Emperor, Spirit Pill King, Duguju, Dan Tai Mingyue, Chu Zhongtian, Snow Sword of Gojoseon, Star Sword King, Lan Sanmei, and finally, Su Jing and Murong Qingcheng. With an apologetic expression, Yi Chen said, "I'm sorry. This time, I have to leave alone again." "Don't worry, go. There's still a lot of time in the future. We've only been here for a few decades," Su Jing said. Murong Qingcheng also nodded. "If we don't leave now, when the demons and evil spirits react, they will definitely send even more powerful experts to guard the path of death. At that time, who knows when we'll be able to leave. Yi Chen, when you go out, you must be careful. I don't know what the outside world is like, but it's definitely more dangerous." Murong Qingcheng reminded Yi Chen. "I know that." Yi Chen continued, "I promise you, even if there's only a sliver of a chance, I will do my best to kill the foreign experts guarding the path of death. After killing the foreign experts guarding the path of death would be completely clear in a short period of time. Everyone would be able to enter and exit freely." However, this was undoubtedly very difficult. Senior Fire Emperor had entered the path of death and couldn't withstand the first wave of attacks. He was seriously injured and died of depression. Therefore, the people inside had no idea how many foreign experts were guarding the path of death. Perhaps, the one who dealt with Senior Fire Emperor was only the weakest of them. "Yi Chen, there's no time to lose. Let's act quickly." The one who spoke was Su Wanho. When the foreign race's calamity ended, she had advised Yi Chen to immediately enter the path of death, afraid that things would change. However, Yi Chen didn't want to leave so early and decided to wait until after the new year. Now that more than 3 months had passed, the people outside had probably already found out about the things inside. There were more variables. "That's right, it's time to leave. Everyone, I'll leave Elysium to you. Goodbye." After saying goodbye, Yi Chen didn't waste any time. His figure flashed and he rushed into the path of death. "Yi Chen, goodbye." Murong Qingcheng waved her hand as she muttered. To the side, Su Jing sighed. She and Yi Chen, in the end, were only in a close relationship. They hadn't reached the point where they could express their feelings. However, she wasn't anxious. Their lives had just begun, and there would be a day when they would meet again. Looking at the blue-clothed youth disappearing from their sight, everyone's mood was somewhat strange. This unprecedented genius had really left. He was like a mystery. In the first 15 years of his life, he was unknown, just a stupid aristocratic family's disciple. On the day he turned 15, he started to rise, growing step by step, walking towards the peak. In the past 20 years, he had never been defeated among his peers. Now, he had even left his mark on the Emperor Scar Steel, keeping pace with the ancients. For the first 15 years of his life, no one knew of him, and likewise, no one knew of his future. He was like a bright shooting star in the true spirit world, streaking across everyone's hearts and blossoming with his most breathtaking radiance. At this moment, everyone felt like they were in a dream. "Yi Chen," Duguju said in a low voice. His expression was a bit lonely. But soon, his expression became resolute. Wasn't it just a dead end? One day, he would use his own strength to charge through the dead end. Even if he was at the ends of the earth, he would still follow him. In this life, even if he couldn't create his own legend, he would still witness the birth of a legend. In this life, I probably won't be able to surpass him. Every time, he is always ahead. But, this is also good. It saves me the trouble of losing motivation. Chu Zhongtian smiled and rubbed his nose. The dead end was nothing but primal chaos. There was no light, no darkness, no sound. It was a true void. After flying for an unknown amount of time, a wisp of light suddenly appeared in front of them. It was a wisp of dreamy starry sky light. Almost out. Yi Chen's eyes squinted. Who dares to charge into the dead end? Scram! Bang! Two shadows appeared in front of them. They were two demons. Their cultivation bases were at the 5th layer of life and death realm, which was equivalent to 7-star battle strength. Humph! Yi Chen coldly snorted and took out his demon slayer sword, waving it horizontally and vertically. Immediately, a cross-shaped green sword screen shot out. The next moment, the two demons' bodies were torn apart, turning into blood mist. Yi Chen's current battle strength was at the peak of 7-star. However, his control over his power allowed him to contend with a 7-star tyrant. And, this was the result without using the 3 flowers borrowing path. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.